Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 12 o'clock on a Sunday, which means it's time for a Q&A. That's where I take all the questions that you've asked over the course of the last week or so, and I answer them to the best of my ability. Now, first of all, thank you to everybody that commented on the video I put up last Sunday, which was the ultimate guide to becoming a professional magician. A lot of people said, oh, you could have charged for this information, and that's kind of not my thing. So I really appreciate everybody that had nice things to say about that video. I am planning on doing lots of other videos. I'm going to be doing interviews with successful business people on stuff like marketing, SEO strategies, gigs, everything. And I'm already starting lining this stuff up, and it's all going to be free, like the content on Magic TV. It's going to go on the new YouTube channel, which is all going to be about marketing and getting gigs for performers. And I had some people ask a question, well, why are you waiting until then? Why aren't you just launching this new YouTube channel now? And the answer is very, very simple. I follow my own advice. And you heard in that video, if you watched it, one of the big things that I say to people is set goals. Have a goal. Have a short-term goal, a medium-term goal, and a long-term goal. Else you end up just being a busy fool. Well, I've set a goal. When I get 10,000 subscribers on this channel, I'm going to set up a new YouTube channel. In all honesty, it's already set up. It's there. The graphics are set up. The branding is set up. It's all ready. But I'm very goal driven. So when I hit my goal of 10,000 subs, that's when that new YouTube channel is going to go live. So guys, if you do want to see the content that I'm going to be putting on there, you know, make sure you get people to subscribe to the channel. And then when I hit 10,000, away we go. Anyway, enough with that. If you've got any questions that you want to have answered on the Q&A, please let me know in the comments of this video, and I'll get to them next week. I typically will film the Q&A on either a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, depending on my schedule. So you want to try and get the questions in by Monday at the absolute latest. Leave them in the comments to this video. That way I'm guaranteed to see them, and I will get to them next Sunday. There's some amazing questions this week. I'm going to look forward to answering them. So let's get straight on with the first question. So the first question is by Frank Tugas. How you doing, Frank? With all the format changes, Betamax, VHS, Laserdiscs and DVDs, as well as online instructions and instant downloads, I tend to think twice about purchasing magic that does not include written instructions. I already have some tricks where the online instructions have vanished. What is your opinion as a professional magician? I understand where you're coming from. I love DVDs. If you saw my office, which is behind the building I'm filming this in right now, not my main office, but my kind of home office, I have hundreds and thousands of DVDs that I've collected through the years. And I love DVDs, but you know, here's the thing. It's becoming a little bit more awkward to watch a DVD. It's to the point that I've actually taken DVDs that I really love and I've actually bought the download to make it easier for me to watch, because I've got to find somewhere with a DVD player. There's only 2 DVD players in this house, which are connected up to the main TVs. Even my laptop doesn't have this is a new laptop. This doesn't have a DVD player on it anymore. It's a lot easier to watch online content. Now, I know what you're talking about in the online content can disappear, and it can. Somebody, if you're buying something off an independent creator and they've put it as a Vimeo link, or they've put it as an unlisted YouTube link, there's nothing saying that can't be taken down. And then, yeah, you're right, you're kind of in trouble. But I think you're going to be okay with big companies. I think that, Penguin aren't going anywhere. Murphy's Magic aren't going anywhere. Vanishing Ink aren't going anywhere. And a lot of those guys, they have their own sort of video hosting facility. 1914 is another example. If you've ever bought a download from 1914, it's embedded directly into the back end of their website, as I say, Murphy's and Penguin and 2 examples. Even something like Netrix, which I'm working on, everything's embedded into the background. It's just there. It's just there. You can just access it. It's not going to go anywhere. So I understand the concern, but I just think it's just easier with online content because, well, I'll give you an example. Me and Ryland were filming a review show last week, and we were really busy, and we were doing a family thing on the Saturday, and then I had a gig in the evening, and we do a family thing on the Sunday, but it involved a lot of traveling, and Ryland was with me most of the time. So he had his tablet, and he was able to stream the download to his tablet and watch the instructions for the trick that he was going to learn for the review show while he was on the journey. So there's a lot of advantages of having online content. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. where I understand what you're talking about preferring written instructions. And in many ways I do as well, and there's nothing I like more than a book. But having said that, I think we just need to embrace it. I think it's just the way that the world's going. I think that's just the way that it is. So look at the pros and not the cons. But I think that you're going to miss out on a lot of really good magic if you're not going to buy something if it doesn't have written instructions. At least that's my opinion. Okay, the next question is one that a lot of people have asked, and it comes up over and over again, and I've never really addressed it, so I'm going to address it now. I've talked briefly about it on the channel. People keep asking me, am I going to interview myself on Talk Magic? And yeah, eventually. But I see lots of people, Razza is a perfect example. I don't want to wait until, I don't want to wait. I want to get yourself interviewed as soon as possible. I want multiple videos of you being interviewed. That's just not going to happen, okay? Although this is Craig Petty's Magic TV, you hear from me all the time. You hear from me on the 5x5s. You hear from me on the magic stuff. I give my opinion. And in the Q&As, I'll talk about my history. And I will interview myself at some point. Or I will have somebody interview myself at some point. And I've said openly, there's a certain group of people that I'd like to actually have interview me. But for me, the Talk Magics are about introducing people to other magicians that they might not have heard of, or that they've heard of, but they haven't kind of had a deep dive. And I remember when I started doing the Talk Magics, people said to me, "Oh, you can't do a 2-hour interview on YouTube. Nobody will watch it." Well, people do watch it, and I really like that format. And if it's too long for you to watch, that's absolutely fine. But I love kind of doing a deep dive and really getting to know the creator. And I love it when I get emails from people saying, "Oh my gosh, I've just watched this interview. I'd never heard of this person before. I'm now a massive fan. Thank you so much." And that's kind of what Talk Magic is all about. Taking magicians and creators that people might not have heard of and introducing them. And the thing that you need to remember is the Talk Magics are all go on the podcast as well. There's a Talk Magic podcast. So although they go on YouTube, about a week later they go on a podcast. Just go on Spotify, for example, type in Talk Magic Podcast and you'll see it there. And about a week after it goes on YouTube, it'll go into a Talk Magic Podcast. So you can actually watch this stuff without having to go through YouTube. But I'm not going to be interviewing myself anytime soon. It's going to happen years down the line. Now, that's not to say that I'm not going to get interviewed from other places. If there's a channel out there that wants to interview me and I can free my schedule up, then yeah, by all means, contact me. I'll happily do an interview on somebody else's podcast or somebody else's, the interview I've already done. 3 interviews on the Magician's Advice podcast. I've already been interviewed on the Penguin podcast by Eric Tate. That was fun. That's fine, but I don't want the Talk Magics to be about me. At some point down the line, it will be, but don't hold your breath because it's going to be a long way off. Okay, so the next question is Christopher Watts. And Christopher Watts says, "Congratulations on getting back in the magic circle. Thank you very much. My question is, you have branded yourself very cleverly as the bad boy of magic and being kicked out the magic circle. Is this branding going to change, or will you still keep your marketing up as the bad boy? Kind regards, Chris Watts." That's a great question, Chris. I mean, that's an amazing question. And the answer is, I mean, this is the first question that's probably thrown me because I've been thinking about this subject myself a lot, to be perfectly honest. I have to give my own personal website a complete rebrand for various different reasons. One of which is I don't think I haven't touched it from a design point of view for many, many years, and I don't think it's anywhere near as good as my Non-Stop Kids website is or my Slightly Unusual website is. And also that website is set up specifically for motivational speaking. And what I want to do is, although I want to keep the motivational speaking aspect of that website, I also want to include more about the magic in that sort of that website as well. So I want it to be kind of a portal where you can find out more about Craig the speaker, or you can find out more about Craig the magician. And I'm doing a lot on that website at the moment. We're doing a lot of work behind the scenes. We're planning how we're going to actually have it out. The Bad Boy of Magic thing did come about as a result of leaving the magic circle. And it was the concept behind it very simply was let's turn a negative into a positive. So the negative is I've been kicked out of the magic circle. So what's the positive? Well, the positive is I can call myself the bad boy of magic, and I can talk about that experience when I'm booked to speak. And that's great. I never really branded myself as the bad boy of magic as a magician. As a magician, I was just Craig the Magician. And if somebody asked about the Magic Circle, I used to just say, well, yeah, I used to be in it, now I'm not. And people would go, oh, okay. I like the idea. I do like the bad boy of magic thing, but I think that I've gone past that now. I don't think that's going to work in the direction I want to take my own personal career as a speaker. And I like the idea. One thing that I do as a speaker, if anyone's seen me speak at events or business events, and I know some people have that are on this channel, you'll know that I combine a very small amount of magic with a lot of information about business growth and how to get ahead in business and how to be a successful business person. And I do that through the use of storytelling. I tell lots of stories, and those stories that I tell normally have a payoff at the end that's specific to whatever it is that I'm wanting to speak about. I love the idea of bringing the whole journey of me getting back into the magic circle and turning that into a business message. Just off the top of my head, I think I could speak about resilience. I could talk about never giving up. I could talk about putting yourself out there. I could talk about, hey, every no brings you closer to a yes. And just because somebody says no once doesn't mean it's always going to be no. And you have to make sure that you never give up and keep pushing forward. And I think I can bring that message in. And I think that'll be a very good example of illustrating a very important point that business owners need to learn. So I think there's more value in me dropping the bad boy of magic and talking about the process that I went through in order to get back into the magic circle as a business message than there is keeping the whole bad boy of magic thing up, which I don't think would continue to work as I'm back in the magic circle and I'm not doing anything particularly bad anymore. Not that I did anything particularly bad in the first place, it was really just a mock year. So that's a very long way of saying it's probably going to get dropped, and by Christmas, our goal is that by Christmas, we're getting Netflix out of the way. There's only so many people in the marketing team here. We're getting Netflix out of the way, and then by Christmas, we're hoping to have a complete relaunch and rebrand of my own personal website because it is pants. So there you go. That answers your question. No, Craig Petty will no longer be the bad boy of magic. So the next question is Modus Ponens. Modus Ponens, great name. And he says, Craig, as far as you're aware, has anyone ever improved upon a trick or gimmick as a result of you reviewing or ranting about it? Well, there's two ways to answer this question. The first one is I have seen comments from people on products that I've trashed or I've said aren't very good. And they've said, I totally get that. And I agree with what you're saying. However, this is what I'm doing with it. And they've kind of taken it in a completely different direction. I don't think that's as a result of me trashing it, to be perfectly honest. I think that's more of a case of somebody's being very creative with it and they've taken it in a different direction. So I've seen people do that on the channel, but I don't think that's anything to do with me. Also, you know that when I review products, a lot of the time what I'll try and do is put my own spin on it. And I'll try and look at it and go, well, this is good, but this is how I would do it. And I've seen a lot of people that when I've gone down that route, a lot of people have said, oh, this is the way I'm doing it now. This is a much better way of doing it. Oh, yeah, this is the way I'm going to do it from now on. So I suppose in a way, it's not the end user that's changing it, but a lot of people have adapted their handlings of the tricks that they've bought based on the presentational aspect that I've kind of put across. But one thing that I have found interesting, and as you know, and I'm not going to talk about this anymore now, but I left the magic community for a long time and came back into it. And since I started Magic TV and I've been doing all these videos on creativity and this and that and the other, and since I've been re-releasing magic and I've been putting magic out there again and, you know, gossip and so on and so forth, I have been getting a lot of phone calls from a lot of creators and a lot of messages from a lot of creators saying, hey, I've got this trick, could you have a look at it and just let me know your thoughts, which is really nice. It's really humbling. And I always try and look at it and give feedback. And if they're asking me to see if I can adapt it in any way, then I try and offer my opinion. Sometimes that's not possible. So Kyle Purnell showed me a new routine that he's got coming out with Vanishing Ink, and oh my god, it was amazing. It's one of the best tricks I've ever seen. Wonderful Gimmick deck, and I was just like, that's perfect, man. There's nothing you can do with that. That's basically perfect. But there's a lot of creators, and I'm not going to name their names, but there's a lot of people that have contacted me and said, look, I've got this trick, it's coming out soon, what do you think? And that's been fun, and I've really enjoyed doing that. And as I say, it's very humbling that people have chosen to contact me. But that's, again, not as a result of me reviewing a product, that's me looking at a product beforehand. So I'm getting to see a lot of products that I know are coming out in the next 6 to 12 months. And let me tell you right now, with some of the stuff that I've seen from various different producers, the future of magic is very bright indeed, my friends. There's some really great stuff coming out soon. Okay, so the next question is by Mr. Harmon. How you doing, buddy? Mr. Harmon says, how do you theme your magic to fit certain events, i.e. doing football tricks for a football team? It very much depends on whether you're talking... It depends on what environment in which you're talking. It depends on... Let's take the 3 different possible options, right? So you've got stage shows, you've got close-up magic, and you've got kid shows. With kid shows... my company offers a lot of themed packages. And what we do is we theme our packages, but we completely avoid... You've got to be very careful not to go and infringe on Disney's copyright or Nickelodeon's copyright or something like that. You really don't want to do that. I've seen lots of companies get in big trouble over doing that sort of thing. And one day I'll tell you a story about how I got a legal letter from Disney, which was not nice at all. But one thing that we try to do in Non-Stop Kids is, so for example, if we're doing a princess theme party, it's our own princess. We've created a character called Princess Jessica. If it's a superhero themed party, we've created a character called Captain Magic. So it's all our own sort of intellectual property, if that makes sense. It's very easy to theme a kids party to a particular theme. So we've got these unicorn parties, and you kind of think of it, right, okay, so you've got a magic show and you've got party games. Well, what do you do with a unicorn theme? Well, first of all, the entertainer can be an expert, a unicorn expert. Brilliant. So let's get a little outfit that says unicorn expert on it, maybe a picture of a unicorn. You go, okay, so now we're going to have the magic show. How can we adapt the magic show? Well, I know, let's talk about how the unicorn expert, the entertainer, is going to teach the kids how to find a unicorn. Okay, cool. That's going to be the premise. So they're going to learn how to find unicorns. So now the tricks that you do in your show anyway will fit into that theme. So for example, the first thing you could say is unicorns are magical creatures. So you're going to need a magic wand. Now you can do something like Silver Scepter because it gives you a reason to bring out that, because you're explaining that in order to find a unicorn, you need a magic wand, because that's what you need in order to find a magical creature. So you can adapt a lot of the tricks that you do to fit theme. Another example would be 20th century silks. Well, you could go, if you're going to catch your own unicorn, you got to have a unicorn catching trap. I'll teach you how to use a unicorn catching trap. Now they're normally really big, so we'll use these 2 blue handkerchiefs to represent the unicorn catching trap. I'll tie them together and put them there, and this red handkerchief, this is going to be the unicorn. So we're going to make this disappear, and we'll try and catch it in between the 2 blue handkerchiefs. Brilliant. So we're taking a trick we've already done, and we've adapted that. Then you can have tricks that you can have a trick that you've custom designed or bought specifically for that show. So you might, for example, have a colouring routine where you've got different colour, you've got a picture of a black and white unicorn on a silk, then maybe a coloured picture of unicorn on a silk, so you can go down that route. What you're going to do at the end? Oh, well, let's make a unicorn appear. How are we going to do that? Well, could you use a dove pan? No, it's probably you're going to be a bit too small. Well, let's use a draw box. So do you see what I mean? So you can adapt the magic in the games very easy. Kid shows, not a problem. Boom, job done. With close-up, you just have to think about what the theme is. And I would highly advise you to charge extra if you're going to do that. If you're specifically creating magic to fit with that theme, include that cost to the client. And so what I mean by that is, I remember just before COVID, December 2019, I did a corporate event. And randomly, the theme was Radio Times. If you don't know what the Radio Times is, it's a magazine that comes out, been around for years in the UK. And it tells you what's on every TV channel. And the Christmas edition is normally a big deal, or at least it used to be. So this corporate event was all about the Radio Times, and the whole thing was decked out with big posters of previous Radio Times covers and things like that. And they were like, well, we want you to adapt the magic that you're doing to the Radio Times. I was like, okay, right, no problem, that's fine, I can do that. And so I put a whole bunch of magic together. I did drinking Radio Times, and I had that all set up, and I had a presentation around it. Torn and Restored newspaper. I did a sort of a magazine test type thing where they're ripping it up and I tell them the word they're thinking of. I did a trick where I've got dates of Radio Times, like really popular Radio Times covers on blank playing cards, and they pick one and there was a magazine with the front cover of the date that they picked, whole bunch of different stuff. But it took me a while to put all that together. And I said to them, well, the price is X for me to come along and do close-up magic. But if you want me to theme everything to fit your theme, then it's going to be an additional X. And they were like, yeah, okay, cool. Because if I'm going to sit there for hours trying to come up with tricks to fit that theme, well, I'm going to charge extra for research and development. And that's a big business lesson for you here. If you do get hired by a corporate event and they want you to theme the magic, charge extra for it. Now, the downside to that is if you charge extra for it, you have to make sure that everything's themed. You can't just do a half-assed theme. You can't just... the theme is red, I'm going to use red playing cards. That's not going to work. So if you're going to go down that route of charging extra, you need to make sure you're creative enough to come up with a whole stack load of stuff that's going to fit within that theme. And if you can't do that, then you just turn around to the client and say, well, look, I'm going to try and theme some of the stuff. Absolutely not a problem. And you go down that route. So you say, yeah, you'll try your best, but you're not guaranteeing anything or charging extra money for it. And then you've got the stage side of things. I remember we got hired by a safe company once, and it was they wanted us to have the CEO appear on stage, and they wanted to include a safe in it. So we had an illusion built which looked like a giant safe, and it had like a digital keypad on the side. And I opened it up and showed it was empty, and people walked in and out of it. And then we shut it, locked it, and 5 different people came in and they tried different combinations and it wouldn't open. And then we had 5 different people call out numbers and they keyed the numbers in. And when they did, you heard a beep and then it unlocked. And when you opened it, the CEO, the HR director, and somebody else walked out the safe, even though the safe was shown completely empty. That cost a lot of money. It's still in the warehouse, actually. I think we've used it 3 times total. It's a big beast, but that cost a lot of money, and it cost a lot of time and a lot of effort, and we charged the clients a lot of money. We charged them a lot of money to put the routine together. We charged them extra money on top of the show in order to set it up and do it at the actual event, and then we charged them even more money to cover the cost of actually having this thing built. So yeah, I mean, that's your answer. You look at the event that you booked for, and then you just adapt to what you do. And it's really important that you charge, especially with the close-up and especially with the stage, if you want to get taken seriously. In terms of how to theme this stuff together, really, it just comes from being well read. Look at the video that I did on this channel about 6 months ago about creativity. It's the same sort of thing. Write down in the middle of a piece of paper the theme. So you used football, didn't you, Mr. Harmon, as an example? So write down football. So think about everything. Have some arrows drawn off that word football and think about all the things that you can do. Okay, so first of all, you've got sponge balls. Okay, so sponge balls. Can you get football style sponge balls? And then you've got normal mini footballs that you could do. Maybe you could do a billiard ball routine. And then you've got pictures of footballs, and then you've got look for any football routines. So Prop Dog, for example, have got a really great football routine that we reviewed on the show a little while ago. And then you put all the ideas together, and then eventually you kind of put it all together. If you want to see a video about that, about how to actually go through the creative process of theming something to a particular theme, then let me know, and I'll put a proper video together for you. If it's something that enough people are interested in, I'll put a video together. But that's kind of a bare bones piece of advice. I hope that answers your question. Okay, so the next question is from Andy Woodhouse. How you doing, Andy? I haven't seen many questions on the Q&A that you ask. You comment a lot, and I appreciate that. I haven't seen many questions, so thank you for asking it. Here's a question for your next show. I know you're into reading books, as am I, but do you like reading the history magic books also, such as Carlton the Magician, Charles Bertram, etc.? I do believe, as do many historian magicians believe, that if you know more about the history of magic magicians, it makes you a more rounded magician and it shows your subject thoroughly. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Andy. Completely agree with you. I think that reading about the history of magic is something that is really important if you want to take your magic seriously. And not just that, I mean, I've talked on this channel before, but I mean, one of the biggest prides of my collection, so to speak, is I've got every single edition of Abracadabra, from the very first one ever published to the very last one. I've got them all leather bound, and I love going back and reading them, and not necessarily reading the tricks, but I love reading like the correspondence from the 1940s and magicians talking to each other. And of course, before the internet, that's what they did. They sent a letter into Abra. Next week, another letter came into Abra answering that letter, and so on and so forth. And I love going back and reading that, and also reading the society reports and reading what was happening in societies back in like the 1940s and so on and so forth. Really, really fascinating. I'll be honest with you, Andy, over the last 2 years, I haven't read as many history books as I did. I think the last one that I read all the way through, and I literally read it in a week, was Steve Spill's book, where he talked about his career, which is fascinating. Obviously, you're talking further back than that, but I suppose I consider that a history book. He was talking about the 1960s and 1970s, but I know you're going further back, and I have read a lot of books about the history of magic. I haven't in the last couple of years for a few different reasons. I'm very busy. I'm not even having time to read the normal magic books that I do. And also, it's not just magic that I love reading about. I love books. I love reading fiction books, and I'm very passionate about marketing. I love reading marketing books, and I'm reading a few different marketing books at the moment. And I find it just as fascinating reading a marketing book as I do a magic book. And then I've got a family, and I'm performing, and I'm filming all of this content. And although the history books are important, and they really are, and I do think that every magician should find out more about the history of magic, I kind of look at it as, if I've got a list of stuff that needs to get done in a list of priorities, it's kind of not near the top, if that makes sense. That's not to say I'm never going to read another history book again. It's just that something has to give at some point, if that kind of makes sense. So in answer to your question, yes, absolutely, I do love reading history books. I haven't read any recently, but I probably will again in the future, and I advise everyone does so. So the next question is by Pete Booth, and Pete says, do you still go to business networking meetings, and is it still useful? Well, over the last sort of 15, 16 months, Pete, there hasn't been that many business networking meetings. They've all been online, but I have been going to online meetings. I think that networking is super important. I talked about it in my ultimate guide to becoming a professional magician last week, how important it is going to networking meetings. I really do. But you have to go in with a specific purpose. You can't just go in and I talked about this on the channel last week. You can't, when you go in networking, you have to understand something about networking. It's work. It's not net eating, it's not net sleeping, it's networking. You've got to work at it. I see people going, right, I'm going to go networking, and they go to an event and they stand up for 60 seconds and talk about themselves, and then they eat their breakfast or whatever it is they're doing, and then they go, and then they wonder why they've got nothing out of it. Well, networking is all about building relationships, and you have to understand it's about building relationships, and it's about the longevity of relationships. And what I mean by that is, I've had people that have given me gigs that I've met at networking meetings, or they've passed a referral to me for a gig that I've met in a networking meeting 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. And they weren't in the place at that time to need me, but then they've met somebody who's getting married or whatever it may be, and they go, well, I know this amazing magician, here's his card, give him a call. But the thing with that, in order for that to work, you've got to make sure that you're building relationships with these people. What you can't do is you can't just sit there and meet somebody at a networking meeting and then never talk to them again. You've got to follow up. And that's a really important thing with networking. The fortune is in the follow-up. And what I mean by that is, when you meet somebody at a networking meeting, how are you following up with them? You've got to follow up. I always send them an email saying, hey, it was great to meet you. Then I'll jump on the phone call with them. And then there's one other thing about networking as well, which is, it's called giver's game, which is a BNI thing, which basically means if you want to get business off somebody, if you give somebody business, then you're going to get business back yourself, if that makes sense. So I go out of my way to contact people and try to offer them work. If I speak to somebody who's booked me to do magic at the wedding, and they mention they haven't had a caricaturist or a photographer, I'll recommend them to a wedding photographer or a wedding caricaturist, and I'll ring them up and I'll say, hey, I've just booked this person in, speak to them. they need a wedding photographer, I've recommended you. Now, whether that gig comes off or not for them, they will remember that I've passed them work, and so they're going to reciprocate, right? So networking is really important. You don't have to go to formal networking meetings, but you have to have an agenda. You have to have a goal. You have to have a reason to go to these things. So in 2020, in the summer, we had the idea of doing virtual shows through Non-Stop Kids Entertainment for children in palliative care in the community, and helping play specialists around the UK by delivering virtual parties, basically, for kids that were receiving palliative care that were really impacted by the pandemic. And the problem that we had is, we needed money to do that. So I was going to networking meetings. I was going to virtual networking meetings 3 times a day. I was doing like a 10 o'clock till 11:30, a 1 till 2:30, a 4 till 5:30, and I was speaking to all of these people, and I was just basically there going, hey, we're doing virtual parties. We need sponsorship. We're trying to get people to sponsor us because we're trying to help the children in palliative care. Is there anyone in an industry that's not struggling that can help us? And that paid off big time, because there were a lot of people that were able to sponsor us, which means we were able to hit our goal of doing more virtual parties, and also we're able to help the NHS as well. So it's a win-win situation. So yes, I still go networking, but you have to have an agenda, you have to have a reason to go, and you have to make sure that you're following up and building relationships. Okay, so the next question is from Thomas Shelvin. How you doing, Thomas? And the question is, hi Craig, hi Thomas. I have a card magic question from a dexterity point of view. I have mild cerebral palsy, which affects my fine motor skills, which means I never got into magic because I was never able to do the sleights such as double lifts or pharaohs. But I recently found John Bannon's Move Zero series with no sleights, and it's changed my world. Question, to cut a long story short, do you think it's possible to build an act routine using only sleight-free magic? Absolutely, 100%. I want you to stop what you're doing, and if you haven't already done so, go and check out anything by Wayne Dobson, really. Anything by Wayne Dobson. Specifically, if you want a specific, go get his Look No Hands DVD or his Look No Hands ebook from his website, Dietrich's. Really important that you do that. And then go back and watch the interview that I did with Wayne Dobson a couple of weeks ago. Wayne is a guy that now can no longer use his hands, and yet he can still perform at a very, very high level. I was speaking to Mike Sullivan, who works with Wayne, and just recently Wayne went out and actually stole the show. The guy still goes out and performs now, and he doesn't use any sleight of hand at all. And the reason for that is magic is all about presentation. Magic is all about, at the end of the day, magicians are entertainers. I'm sure no matter what type of magician you are, whether you're a mentalist or you're a magician or whatever it is, your goal is to entertain your audience. Now, you can entertain them in lots of different ways. Some darker, mysterious entertainers might want to entertain them in a very different way to a comedy magician, but ultimately every performer wants their audience to leave being entertained. So if you accept that as magicians we are entertainers, then the most important thing is entertainment, right? And the magic is just a vehicle that we use to entertain people. When I do my stand-up show, I probably spend the first 7 or 8 minutes just talking. In one of my particular 45-minute sets, I did a parlor show over the weekend, and I spent like 7 or 8 minutes just talking before I even did a single trick. It's not about the magic. It's not about the technique. It's about the entertainment. So find tricks. There are millions of tricks that are self-working. Go check out stuff by Ryan Schlutz. Go look at Big Blind Media. They have dozens of DVDs on self-working magic. Ryan has put some amazing stuff on there, but he's not the only one. You're right, look at some of John Bannon's stuff. He's incredible as well. Not just John Bannon. Have a look at Wayne Dobson, obviously. Have a look at all these people. There's a lot of self-working magic out there. And then look into memorized deck magic. Learn how to memorize a deck of cards. Then you can have somebody, you can do miracles with a memorized deck without even touching the deck of cards. So there's a lot of different ways that you can go with this, right? But understand that the most important thing is the presentation. And the technique is just how we actually get to the end goal of entertaining the person you're performing for. My advice, go check out Wayne Dobson and go check out Big Blind Media's Ultimate Self-Working DVD box set. It's amazing. Okay, so the next question is by Matty Mediocrity. How you doing, Matty? A couple of questions. First one, which professional wrestler, past or present, do you mostly identify with? I see you as a good guy anti-hero, maybe Rowdy Roddy Piper with your lovely Miss Elizabeth Sarah by your side. Brain fart, Miss Elizabeth was Randy Savage's woman. It's been a while. Yeah, you know what? You must be psychic, Matty. You hit the nail on the head there. I have been a massive Rowdy Roddy Piper fan my entire life, and I do like that whole anti-hero thing. I mean, and also what I love about Roddy. And I'm sorry for everybody watching this that's not a wrestling fan, but here's what I love about Roddy. Nobody will say he was the greatest technician in the world. He wasn't. Nobody will say that he was, the next Bret Hart or, the excellence of execution or whoever you want to pick on. There's a million amazing wrestlers, these days, not Shawn Michaels, AJ Styles. There's some amazing technical wrestlers. Roddy was never one of them. But what he could do really, really well is he could make it believable. He could make it believable and he could make it very, very entertaining, and damn could that guy cut a promo. There was hardly anybody on the circuit that was as good at cutting a promo as him. And he could walk out and within 30 seconds, he had that rock-like ability of either to get an entire audience to love him and hang on to every word, or to get an entire audience to hate him and literally want to see him dead. And he was one of the greats in wrestling because of his ability to cut a promo and his ability to make it believable and make it entertaining. He was not the greatest technician in the world, and he understood his limitations, and he just made sure that he focused on his strengths. And he was an anti-hero. He didn't care what people said. He went out and he was very much that CM Punk style character. He was CM Punk before CM Punk was CM Punk. He was shooting from the hip and he was saying it as it was, and it's why he was my favorite wrestler. And I suppose if I was going to identify with anybody, it's him, because I'm pretty good at sleight of hand. I'm pretty good at technique. But anybody who's watched my videos will go, I'm not the best by any stretch of the imagination. I've had people over the last year criticize my double lift so many times. But for me, when I go out and perform, it's more about the entertainment. Yeah, I'm going to do some technical stuff, and I don't care. I'm going to do some really ballsy stuff and do body loads and things like that, and and not worry about being caught and so on and so forth. But I'm really good at getting an audience to just be on my side within seconds. I'm really good at walking out on stage and grabbing people within a couple of seconds, getting their attention and entertaining them. So I suppose, Hot Rod is the person I most relate to. Okay, so the next question is also by Matty Mediocrity. And this question is, this is a tough one. Don't answer this if it's going to get you in trouble. I'm fine. I keep hearing that magic needs more women or more diversity. Why? I think, of course, that women and people of colour should have the exact same opportunity as everyone else. But it feels like we're going in a direction where magicians are going to be passed over just to make sure they get women or persons of colour. What's your take on this trend? To be honest, this is not something I've really thought about too much. I do think, I spoke to Megan, which you'll know because her interview went up on Wednesday. I spoke to Megan Swan and did an interview with Megan Swan, who's the vice president, the acting president of the Magic Circle. And she spoke very eloquently about how she's been to conventions and she's met men at conventions, and they assume that who are you here with? Who's your boyfriend? Oh, are you sick of seeing magic? And she's like, well, no, actually, I'm the vice president of the Magic Circle. And she gets that all the time. Even at the Magic Circle headquarters, she's had people go up to her and say, oh, what do you do here? And she said, I'm the secretary. And they go, oh, right, you're a secretary. And I hate that. I do think that we should have gone beyond that. I do think that it shouldn't be somebody's automatic reaction that if they see a woman at a magic convention that person is a girlfriend. I think the days of actually going to magic conventions and seeing oh look, we're going to have this lecture at 10 o'clock, we're going to have this lecture at 11 o'clock, we're going to at 12 o'clock we're going to have a lecture, but also there's flower arranging for the women. I think we've gone beyond that. I think we've gone way beyond that stuff. But on the flip side of things, I think that you can't force people to go and get into something. So my son, Ryland, he absolutely loves magic. He absolutely loves it. As you know, he sleeps, breathes, eats magic 24/7. My daughter, Thea, and if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I've posted videos of her doing magic. She loves magic. She's a big fan of magic, and she loves watching Ashley Goodwin, and she watched I showed her some of the stuff that Megan did, and she absolutely loved that. But she's not as into it as Ryland is. She sits there and she practices, but she's not obsessive over it, and that's fine. And I said to my wife when my kids were born, if they want to learn magic, that's cool, but they have to come to me. I don't want to force them to do magic. And you know, my dad used to force me to learn how to make airplane models, and I hated it. I hated every second of it. So I'm never going to force my kids into getting into magic. Whether it's the boy or the girl, I'm never going to force them to get into magic. I don't think you can force anybody. All you can do is encourage whatever it is they're interested in. Now, having spoken to Megan right from a very young age, she was obsessed with magic, and it's really nice that her parents really pushed her in that direction and supported her, and look at where she is now. And I think that's what we should be doing. I don't think we should. Megan told another story where, you know, she used to go through the Argus catalogues and the magic kits were in the Toys for Boys, which she took effect. Why is a magic kit in the Toys for Boys section? Why isn't it like, you know, for boys and for girls? And I think we've gone past that. But so there's two flip sides to the story. So one, I don't think you can force people to get into magic. I don't think we can go, right, okay, we need to grab every girl on the planet and make them learn card tricks. I don't think we should do that. But likewise, I think that we should be more open when women are in magic. I don't think it should be automatically assumed that they are an assistant. I don't think it should be automatically assumed that they are the girlfriend or the wife of a magician. I think it should be a case of, oh, great, you know, nice to meet you. I've never met you before. Do you want to show me a card trick? And you assume that they're a magician, because you wouldn't have it in reverse, would you? You wouldn't have somebody going, oh, right, okay, you're a magician. You're here at the Blackpool Magic Convention. Oh, are you here with your wife? Is she shopping for magic right now? You wouldn't have that in reverse. And I think that's down to the individuals. I think that's down to the perception of people in magic. And I think it's changed, but I think it could continue to change. And I think it could continue to go more in that direction. I think that we should be welcoming. We should be encouraging. So, yeah, we don't force people to get into magic. We don't force anyone to get into magic. It should be something that people want to do, because it's not an easy hobby. But once they're there and they're enjoying it, I think you have to make it very welcoming, and you have to make it so that they want to be there, and they don't feel odd because they're the only woman there or whatever it may be. Again, Megan told a story about how when she first went to the Young Magic Circle, she was the only girl there, and she felt really awkward for the first few weeks. That should never be the case. It should be very inviting and very open. So there you go. That's my opinion. That's what I think. I hope that answered your question, Matty. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to address is not really a question, but I want to throw it out to you guys. Okay. I did the interview with Tom Wright a little while ago, which everyone seemed to like, so thank you very much for that. And somebody called Martina Magic posted on there, who set up a YouTube channel literally the day before this was posted. So set up a YouTube channel, and then the next day posted this comment on my video. So apparently set up a Gmail account and a YouTube channel specifically to comment on one of my videos. I hope you're not angry with me now, but so far I think your channel is terrible. Objectively speaking, your talks are okay, but far too long and boring. Even the channel design is awful. The thumbnails are a clusterfuck for the eyes. I value you as a magician, but your channel is awfully boring. Now, there's a few different comments back and forth. I said, I see that you set up a YouTube account yesterday. Feel honoured to see that you decided to set up an account just to tell me my channel sucks. Went back and forth. There's a whole about 14 different comments on this. But one thing really kind of jumped out at me. A few different people were arguing about this person's point. And Andy Woodhouse, whose question I answered earlier on, he went on there and he said, I know for a fact that a few people are scared of saying anything on this channel that they don't like, as they are scared of getting a rant or a bagged comment from Craig, even if they are polite. I'm not saying he would, but that's just how they feel. Okay, so that's the comment that I want to address. Not so much the person who doesn't like the channel. I just find it very odd. I mean, the person then comes on later on and references rants and references stuff that I put on my channel. So it's very odd that they hate my channel, but they know very, very specifically the content that I put out there. But whatever, that's not the point. Because regarding that point, all I'm doing is I'm making the channel that I think that I would like to watch if I was wanting to watch a YouTube channel. I didn't do a YouTube channel. This is the sort of channel that I would want to watch. I like long form interviews. I like discussions on theory and business. I like seeing tricks performed that maybe people have forgotten. I like that sort of stuff. That is the sort of video that I like to watch. And looking at the watch time on this channel, I think that you guys do as well. And if somebody doesn't like it, that's their prerogative, and that's absolutely fine. My issue is when Andy says, I know a few people are scared, this is how they feel. Well, first of all, how do you know these people? Like, because I don't understand. Like, maybe there's a Facebook group where people are congregating that are watching my videos and they talk about how they're worried that I'm going to be mean to them. I don't know how you know these people. And I know you comment a lot on the channel, so maybe you can answer that for me. But it really concerns me when he says they're scared of saying anything on here they don't like. Because here's the thing. Yes, I do a rant every Friday. But a couple of weeks ago, I did a video replying to haters' comments. But those are people that were, calling me names and attacking me and my physical appearance. And I felt the need to reply to those people. And that's something that I did. And yeah, I do a rant every single Friday. But the rant is normally about not a particular individual, but a particular thing that's happening within the magic community. It's not really about a particular person. And outside of the replies to haters and replying to people like Snake, I don't think I've ever done a video where I've taken someone's comment that's been polite, or not even polite, but just not mean and ranted about it. That's not what I do. In fact, a lot of the time, this channel changes. The content on this channel changes as a result of what I see. So when I first started this channel, I did marketing videos on a Monday. I very quickly realized nobody wanted to see the marketing videos. It just wasn't very popular. Fine, no problem. We'll replace them with a 5x5. People were saying, oh, I really want to see videos on audience management. That's why I did the audience management videos. The reason that I'm doing the closer videos at the moment, and I've been putting regular videos about closers, people say they want to see that. I'm going out and getting more live performance footage at the moment because people say they enjoy watching live performance footage. And even when somebody says, well, I've adjusted the volume on the videos now because the outro and the intro was hurting people's ears. That's fair enough. The reason I'm using this table is because people didn't like my round table. If you go back to the first videos, I had this round table. People commented saying it made them feel seasick. So we changed it to this rather expensive table from PropDog. So the point that I'm trying to make is I always listen to people's feedback and I always try to take it on board, and I guide the way that the channel goes based on people's feedback. So it kind of upsets me a little bit when I hear somebody saying that people are scared of leaving a comment, because if I'm putting that across, if that is how I'm putting things across, then that's not the case. That's not what I want to do. I want this channel to be one where people can feel like they can say anything. And as long as they're respectful, I will answer any question, regardless of what the question is, even if it's about my personal life. And I worry that the rants that I do, and the reason I do the rants is because and I've got to be honest, a lot of the time, it's a character. We talked about character on this channel before. A lot of the time, I can get into, people go, oh, why your blood pressure? Really pissed off with that. I'm really not. I can get into character like that. You know what really annoys me about Andy Woodhouse? What really annoys me is he has the absolute guts to come on this channel and tell me that I am doing something and people are scared of me. People are scared of me. Andy, do you know what I mean? It's a character. I can switch it on like that. It's got nothing to do with my blood pressure. I have just been very good at ranting. A lot of the stuff, like the kids' entertainment thing that I did last week, and I said kids entertainers, you know, the rant about kids entertainers, a lot of the time, it doesn't piss me off as much as I said. I'm not, you know, but I do it because you know, that's part of my character when I'm on stage, and B, I just think it puts the message across more clearly. And I just think it makes it different, and it makes it different to anything else out there. And I think when you're doing YouTube, you want to try and make your videos different. And I have people say to me, oh, the YouTube, you know, the rant videos are my favorite. And then other people say, I hate the rant videos, but I love the interviews. Whatever it is fine. I don't think you can watch all the content on this channel, but you pick and choose what you like. But if me doing the rant videos are causing people that watch this channel to be worried about commenting, then I'll just drop the rant videos, just like I drop the marketing videos. I got no problem dropping something off this channel immediately. If people don't want to see it, or people don't think that it's good for the channel, I'll drop it. So this isn't me answering a question. This is me addressing something that happened. As I say, I don't care about the person saying that this channel sucks. I mean, screw them. This is about me wanting to find out what you guys want to see from this channel. Would you like me to carry on doing the rants? And as I say, a lot of the time, other than the odd 4 or 5 that I can think of, they are all done in a comedic way. And, you know, don't take them too seriously. And the other thing is, everyone knows it's going to be a rant video with swearing, so they can just not watch it if they don't want to. Would you like me to make the videos, the interviews, are they too long? Would you like me to shorten them? Would you like me to spend less time talking about audience management or lists? Would you like me to stop doing the 3 best tricks series? I want to be guided by the people that watch this channel. So tell me what you think. You know, I saw this comment here and I was like, my gosh, I don't want people to be worried about commenting on this channel, fearful that I'm going to do a rant on them. That's not the case. So let me know, guys, what is it that you want this channel to be? Do you want to drop the rants? You know, do you want me to shorten the videos? Let me know. Okay, so the last question is a business-related question. It's by Razamagic. What sort of difference do you feel graphic design, logo, and branding work have made you in your experience? How do you get it done? Did you do it yourself using a software, or did you hire somebody? How much time, effort, and money did you spend? Is there anything else he said? What sort of budget would you recommend for graphic design? Okay, this is a question that really should be answered on the new channel. I don't want to bog this down by talking about graphic design for too long. What I will say to you is you are doing what a lot of people do when they first get into business. They obsess about the little points. Yeah, you should have a decent logo. But don't obsess about how much budget should I put into graphic design? Where should I get the logo? Should I hire somebody? Should I do this? Should I do that? You can always rebrand. At the beginning, when you first set up your company and you first start doing magic, go on Fiverr.com and get a logo off Fiverr.com and just have them send you as a PSD file. Boom, job done. There's your logo. Move on. Because what people do, and I see it's the same with YouTube. You know, I'm getting a lot of people at the moment asking me, oh, you know, I want to set up a YouTube channel. What should I do? Well, the answer is you start filming videos and you put them on YouTube. And I hear people going, oh yeah, but I want to get it perfect first of all. I want to script it. I want to get a bunch of videos scripted first of all, and then I want to get a studio, and I want to get some lighting, and I want to get this camera, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. And so I go, okay, whatever. And then you know, I speak to them 2 months later, and it's like, oh yeah, I've got this camera and I've got this thing, but now is not the right time because I can't think of this thing, and I want to do this and I want to do that. And I'll speak to them 6 months later. How many videos have you done? Oh, none, because I just want to get it right. But when's the best time to put a video on YouTube? Right now. Yesterday. When's the next best time? Right now. How do you make a YouTube channel successful? You start posting videos. The first videos you post are going to be absolutely dreadful, but then as you find your character and you get better and better and better at it, you will upgrade your equipment over the time. I'm looking at umbrella lights and backlights and God knows what, really nice table, really nice camera, but that wasn't the case. When we first started, that wasn't the case at all. We just took the phone out, we filmed a video, and we put it up on YouTube. And as it became more popular, then we started doing more with it, if that makes sense. Well, it's the same with branding. You know, what's the ultimate goal when you want to become a part-time or a full-time magician? Getting gigs. How do you get gigs? By speaking to people, by getting people to book you. the logo is one small part. Any graphic design or branding of the website or branding in total, that's one small element of your business. The most important thing is going out, getting seen, getting people to book you. If you go out and you do a free show, for example, at a charity event, and you hand out a bunch of business cards because you're getting no leads, well, there's a great way to get leads. Not one person is going to turn around to you at that gig and go, well, you know what, I've got an event coming up in 2 months' time, and I was thinking about having a magician, and you were exceptional, young man, but I'm not going to book you because because the logo on your business card is pants. Said nobody ever, right? So get gigs first of all. Start getting gigs coming in. Get flight time. Go out there and perform. Don't make it too difficult for yourself. That's what you're doing. Oh, right, I need to think about branding and I need to think about graphic design. Now, what budget should I set for the graphic design? Now, okay, now I've got a budget for the graphic design. Right, should I outsource it or should I do it myself? And what software should I use? And actually, should I do it through this company and this company? And now I've got it. What sort of font should I use? And what sort of Pantone color should I use? And should I use this and this? And now what should I do? And now what do I... Stop. Okay, yes, marketing is important. I talked last week about how important marketing is, but you can get bogged down in stuff that doesn't matter. The most important thing is getting people to pick up the phone, ring you, and book you. And how do you do that? You do that by getting people to see who you are. Simple as bottom line. Go get a web. You want my opinion, Razza? Go on Fiverr.com. Tell them what you want. Go get yourself a website. Go and get yourself a logo. Use that, and then move on to something that's more important that's going to generate leads. So there you go, guys. That is another Q&A in the bag. I want to know what you guys think, so let me know in the comments down below. Once again, thank you for joining me on a Q&A. I really appreciate it. Honestly, like I said in the video, your support means the world to me, so thank you very, very much. Leave a comment down below, and if you want to have your question answered for next week, leave it in the comments to this video. I will get to it. Make sure you leave it by Monday at the latest. Outside of that, if you want to see more videos like this, please do me a favor and like the video, share the video, do all that fun stuff that you're meant to do with videos. And remember, when I hit 10,000 videos, when I hit 10,000 subs, I am launching my new YouTube channel all about the business of magic and performing. Anyway, thanks very much. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. I will be back again on Monday with a 5x5 at 9 o'clock and a live at 6 o'clock. I'll see you then. Thanks very much for watching. My name's Craig from Magic TV.